All right, so we're one day into the NFL offseason, one day after the Super Bowl, and already we have what is shaping up to be a very, very impactful offseason for the Seahawks. And I know every offseason is impactful for every team in the league, but this might end up being one of those transformational off seasons after all. And I wasn't really expecting anything like that this offseason, and I really wasn't expecting to hear about it the day after the Super Bowl ended. Um, a couple hours ago, I was streaming, and I was kind of in the headspace of nothing's really going to happen for at least a month and a half, maybe 5 weeks at the earliest. It's going to be quiet. It's going to be chill. Players are still going to be on vacation. Players are going to be unwinding after a tough season, and I'm just going to be able to churn out my how much will it cost videos and my future evaluation videos and basically just be able to keep things on a tight schedule. And here we are, like less than 28 hours after the Super Bowl, and we have something to talk about. Now, I generally try to avoid making videos just about rumors, and I do think JLC is a hack, but he's a hack because he tends to report things late, not because I think he lies a lot. So I'm going to go ahead and make an exception for this because this is actually kind of worth discussing. It's kind of interesting, kind of meaningful, and it might be indicative of something that I understand is there, but it might be there a lot more than even I'm giving it credit for. So, like I said, a couple hours ago, I was streaming, and everybody in my comments section suddenly starts talking about a JLC tweet. So I went to go check it out. I read a PFT article on it, and short version is Wilson is not happy with the offensive line the team has put in front of him. So the tweet is, I'm hearing Russell Wilson's camp has grown increasingly frustrated by the Seahawks' inability to protect the 8-time Pro Bowler. He has been sacked 394 times in 9 seasons. This situation warrants serious monitoring. The last sentence sounds to me like something somebody just says to try to get attention, but I can believe that Wilson's camp might be frustrated with this. I can believe that it may have leaked out, and I can believe an NFL beat reporter may have picked it up and published it. And yeah, so let's go ahead and talk about this for a minute because this actually strikes me as potentially meaningful and an indication that Wilson isn't very happy right now because we just hired the offensive coordinator that he supposedly really wanted. We just went out and got, by all accounts, his guy, and he's still not happy. So when I read this, I was like, wow, okay, he must really be trying to get across that you guys better start doing a better job handling this. You guys better start making me happy, or else this is going to end very ugly for you guys. And so overall, here are my thoughts. And I understand this was probably something that got leaked. I understand he probably didn't intentionally make JLC aware of the fact that he was talking to the Seahawks about this, although maybe he did. But my thoughts in general about things like this are, as an NFL player or any kind of professional athlete, you need to focus on your stuff. You need to focus on what you need to do better, what you need to improve in, what you need to get better at. And if you have teammates that are not playing well or are not doing this one thing very well or are just not executing, that's their problem. Now, maybe privately you can encourage them and try to motivate them to get better at this, that, and the other thing. And you can do what you need to do in practice. You can do what you need to do as a friend to maybe try to push them along and get them to a better place and make them play better. But as a player, I don't want to hear about, publicly, I don't want to hear about what this guy needs to do better or that guy needs to do better. I want to hear about what you need to do better, and I want to see you working to get better at it. DK Metcalf needs to have better hands. I completely agree with that. Maybe he needs to run his routes a little better too. It depends on who you ask. Brandon Shell needed to play better in the playoff game. Ethan Posick needs to not get pushed around so much. the list goes on. David Moore needs to get open more. But you know what? Wilson needs to focus on Wilson. And he was not playing very well at the end of last year. And in many games, especially in the second half of the season, he was bad. So, right off the bat, I don't want to hear anything from any player about how that guy needs to do a better job. Publicly, you worry about yourself and let the player worry about himself. Now, as for his specific comments, I'm kind of torn. On the one hand, I can see where he's coming from because this team did make decisions last offseason when they had money, because we had money last offseason, and they made decisions to go sign a guy like a Brandon Shell, who played pretty well. I'm not here to bash on Brandon Shell. I think he had a pretty decent season, but he was a bargain bin selection for this team because they didn't want to spend a ton of money on the position. They did decide to go re-sign Mike Upati when they knew he can't stay healthy, and they knew he was going to play half the season if they're lucky. So, yeah, the team needed to do better in those areas. And when you take a look at the fact that they gave $7 million to Greg Olsen, $3.5 million to Jacob Hollister, maybe you can argue the $10 million or whatever it was for Jerron Reed when he only really played good in the second half of the season. You could have put some of those dollars that were, I'm sorry to say, wasted on players who did not have a big impact for the Seahawks in 2020, and maybe put them towards a better right tackle or a better left guard. Then maybe things would have been better. Maybe we would have had the number 1 seed. Maybe we would have been the team winning the Super Bowl yesterday. So this front office does need to do better. This front office was the front office that decided to go sign Mike Upati, go sign Brandon Shell. Again, not hating on Brandon Shell, but there are right tackles out there better than him. And went out and signed B.J. Finney and had him be a complete waste of a roster space. I know we traded him for something good, but still, complete bust. And yeah, the front office does need to do better. So I can kind of see it. On the other hand, as many people have noted, Wilson is part of the problem here. And you guys know that I will not insult a player or criticize a player for trying to get every dollar he can in a contract negotiation. These are players with potentially very short careers. They have a very short period of time in which they can earn a lot of money, and they have every right to negotiate for every dollar they can get. And Wilson certainly did. He hired a baseball agent to negotiate his deal. He took it to the 11th hour to get every dollar he could out of it. He went for the money, and he's made it clear with his actions, not his words, but his actions, that money is the most important thing to him. He will trade winning for money. He will trade goodwill in the fan base for money. Whatever it is, he will give it up to get more money. And I don't have a problem with that. That's his business as a person. That's absolutely his right to do. He has earned that negotiating leverage by playing at such a high level and making all these Pro Bowls, making All-Pro in 2019, etc. However, when he starts getting into stuff like this, then it kind of becomes not okay, because there is this thing in the NFL called the salary cap, and Wilson, even though he hasn't made it impossible, I want to stress that, he has made it hard for this team to build that great offensive line. So when I hear him say things like this, it does actually start making me think, okay, are you going to start giving back some of that obscene contract? Are you going to make it easier for us? And then I see him not doing that, because of course he's not going to do that, because why would he do that? And then I'm like, well, okay, I guess it's not that important to you. It's like Bobby Wagner saying, I really want KJ Wright to come back next year. I really like KJ. I really like playing with him. I want KJ Wright as a Seahawk in 2021. And I'm like, okay, are you going to pay him? Because I don't think this team wants to pay him. I don't want this team to pay him. So when it starts getting into stuff like that, that's when I start to have a problem with it. So, and that doesn't even touch the fact that Wilson getting sacked a lot is a Wilson thing as much as it is an offensive line thing. I truly don't think our offensive line was that bad the last 3 years. I think Wilson holds onto the ball a lot. I think Wilson runs into sacks. I think last year there were a lot of plays, especially in the second half of the year, where he saw the pressure and just basically turtled up because he wasn't even thinking about trying to make a play down the field. He just was like, okay, this play's over. I just don't want to get hurt, so I'm just going to turtle up. That creates a lot of sacks. I think that he, like I said, ran into pressure. I think that his being overweight kept him from being able to escape pressure like he did. Like, last night I saw Mahomes get pressured like crazy, but he was able to run around and still take shots at plays down the field. Now, he didn't make very many plays down the field, but at least he kept the play alive. I saw Wilson not really doing that by the end of the year. So, I don't know. This is just a rumor, but it's a rumor that I think is credible and I think deserves a lot of at least some monitoring and speculation, as Jason La Canfora alluded to at the end of this tweet. I don't know if this is a precursor to some kind of Russell Wilson trade, but it is very interesting to me that this would be something that leaks right after we go get his guy as an offensive coordinator. So, yeah, I'm not... If this is Wilson, if this is actually what is being expressed from Wilson's camp, then this isn't really endearing him to me. This is not what I like to hear. Again, I have no problem with Wilson pushing the team around him to be better. I have no problem with him trying to encourage the team to do certain things that will help him and help his career and make him a better player. But it seems to me that he's, in a way, and I understand this was not a public comment, this was something expressed between the player and the team, that he thinks the shortcomings of his 2020 season and his career in general are not his fault. And I don't like that. I think the players need to take responsibility for their own and let their teammates take responsibility for their own. So, like I said, I'm not big on making videos about rumors, but this struck me as something that is believable and might be a precursor to something big. So I decided to make a late night video. I'm going to go and get out of here. Peace out. Go Hawks. Buckle up. This offseason might get dicey, but whatever happens, whatever goes down, I will be here to talk about it. More cost videos tomorrow, stream tomorrow. You guys know the drill. And yeah, peace out, go Hawks.